Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Supreme King Zark Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. Wanted to do an update to the deck for a good while now. Actually, I've also been getting some requests to update the Zark deck. It's a really fun deck. The whole point of the deck to obviously sum out the big boss monster of the deck, which is Supreme King Zark, requiring all the different Dimension Dragons, Clearwing, Dark Rebellion, Odd Eyes, and Starving Venom to basically get this card out, or, their Spellcaster counterparts for the Pendulum cards, depending on which ones we have. The deck has been sort of hit with the fact that Astrograph and Double Iris are on the ban list, but with the upcoming ban list in October for this month, we might see some changes to the deck, so I figured this update will be for the most recent one, but if we do get any, relevant changes off the list, I will update the deck then as well. But until then, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off for the monsters, I run 3 Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. For this monster, in the Pendulum scale, if you control no monsters, you can place 1 Supreme King Gate Pendulum from your deck into the Pendulum zone. Also, you cannot Pendulum summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except Dark monsters. So it helps for the Pendulum setup with this card, but I mostly use it so when it's normal or special summon, I can add, either one of the Supreme King Gate cards from my deck to my hand, and then just have the additional add. Or if I just need it for one of the scale plays. And also if it's in the graveyard, I control no monsters, I can special summon this card to the field. So just another great way to set up with cards like Pendulum Call, you name it, just to get these cards on the field to use. And then it just gives me that additional monster as well to go for my Exceed, Synchro, Fusion Play, you name it. And then for the Supreme King Gate cards, I'm only running 2 Supreme King Gate 0. I didn't have Infinity in here. If you wanted to place Infinity in, I'll show what cards to take out later when we get to the spell cards. If you wanted to run 2 Infinity as well, just for those scales. Infinity is the scale 12, Gate 0. It's just another additional card to help with your scale setup if you need that scale 0 for your plays. Other than that, definitely does come in handy, just most of the time being searched for by Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. Other than that, you don't really need much else for it, just giving you, like I said, resources on the field to use. And then for the Magician cards, I run 3 Wisdom Eye Magician. Now, setting up a lot of your scales is very important, so you know what cards to Pendulum summon out onto the field to use. So the Wisdom Eye just helps to give me the proper card I need in my scale, and then also just gives me resources in the Dexter deck to summon out to the field as well. And I also run 3 Harmonizing Magician. Now with this one, it searches out basically any of the other magicians, which we'll get to, that help to make the plays for the card, since they're always treated as the specific Dimension Dragon that they are. Harmonizing, special summoning them out, and also being a tuner helps with the Synchro plays, which we can potentially do as well to get out either one of our main Synchro monsters for sure, if we don't have the Dimension Dragon Spellcaster counterpart for Clearwing, which is White Wing Magician. You can easily grab that out in the field, or use Harmonizing with one of the level 3s we run in the deck to summon out Clearwing, giving us one of the requirements for Zark as well once we get Chronograph out. And I also run 2 Black Fang Magician. I only run 2 of this card. It's really, I feel, all you need. One for the scale setup, and one, most of the time, if you need to set this card up in the graveyard, you'll go for the Exceed play to make it as well. It also gives you the Pendulum Scale effect to target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and its attack and defense become half, and then you destroy this card. And when it's destroyed, you can special summon a Dark Spellcaster type monster in your graveyard. So it gives you resources back on the field as well, which is very helpful. And also just the 2 Purple Poison, another important card since always treated as a Fusion Dragon card, so one of the other requirements for Zark as well when we get to it, and just a good destruction play, giving your Spellcaster monster 1200 attack when a Dark Spellcaster attacks, and when this card is destroyed, you destroy a face-up card on the field and destroy it. So you just have more options with each of these. I only run the 2 of them though, since they are search rule pretty easily in the deck as well with some of the other cards I'm running. Sadly, like I said, no Double Iris, so we have some other cards to run and replace for the Pendulum Dragon. But I also do run the 2 Oath Dragon Magicians just to help to search for more of the cards in the deck as well. Then just also being able to recycle them from the graveyard as well when you Pendulum summon Oath Dragon Magician. And for the 1-ofs, I run the 1 White Wing Magician. Also being a tuner helps with the synchro plays, but also just for the fact If this Pendulum Summon card is used for a Synchro Summon, you banish it. I only run the one. It's not really that needed otherwise. And with the Pendulum effect, once per turn, when you activate a card or effect, resolves that targets a Dark Spellcaster type monster, negate that effect, and then destroy this card. So just the only reason I run it is because it says it is treated as a Synchro card. You need that play for your Zark plays if you don't make Clear Wing for that requirement. So just having this option definitely does come in handy. And I also run the one Zhangqi Magician just for the light negation. Just another good level 7 scale to run. Same with Dragon Pit Magician, being able to stop spell and traps by destroying them. Also just setting them up in the graveyard for Chronograph with its own effect is very, very important. So Dragon Pit's discard for those cards to set them up in the graveyard, and also clearing your opponent's back row definitely helps when you get Zark out on the field so your opponent doesn't have anything to disrupt it. And I also run, probably one of the most important cards in the deck is Cronograph Sorcerer. During your main phase, you can destroy this card in the Pendulum Scale to special summon one Time Gazer Magician from your hand or deck, or either place in your Pendulum Zone, or special summon it. You can only use this effect of Cronograph Sorcerer once per turn. But the Zark effect is if this card you control is destroyed by battle, if a card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can special summon one monster from your hand, and you can banish this card you control, plus 4 monsters from your hand, field, and or graveyard, with each Pendulum Dragon, Exceed Dragon, Synchro Dragon, and Fusion Dragon in their names, and special summon one Supreme King Zark from your extra deck. This is treated as a fusion summon. I would say it's the easiest way to get out Zark in the deck, as long as you have all the other requirements set up as well for this card ahead of time, which can easily be done with all the resources I just spoke of as well, to get all those extra deck monsters out in the field. And the one Time Gazer Magician just to go with the Chronograph Sorcerer, so you can have the special summon target or even just the card to set up in the scale as well. And I also run the 2 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Since we don't have Double Iris Magician, we need just that card to count as a Pendulum Dragon. Also put some other cards to help search this card out if need be, but like I said, being a searcher itself as well definitely does come in handy, but you do need this card as that option so you can have your Pendulum Dragon out on the field. And then also to work with the other Supreme King cards, I run the one Supreme King Dragon Odd Eye. It's just another card. You contribute one Supreme King Dragon monster, or special summon this card from your hand. If your Pendulum Summon battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is doubled. And during the battle phase, quick effect, you contribute this card to special summon 2 face-up Supreme King and or Supreme King Pendulum monsters from your extra deck. Except for obviously Supreme King Odd Eyes. But it's an easy summon onto the field with your Supreme King monster. That's why I also like to run the 1-of for that option. You really can't Pendulum Summon it otherwise, but you have that option available to you with this card for that special summon. And to finish off the monsters, I run the 1 Destrudo, the Lost Dragon's Frison. We can easily set this card up in the graveyard, but just being the fact that it can special summon back onto the field and go for level 7 Synchro is another easy way to get out Clear Wing Synchro Dragon onto the field as well. And that is it for the monsters. We run a really big monster count, but we really do need those numbers just so we can get plenty of monsters in the graveyard to set up for Zark. For these spells, I run 2 Pendulum Call, just more searching depending on the scales you need, or if you just need a specific type of Pendulum Magician monster as well. And also you can set up Dark Worm in the graveyard with this card when you discard it. So then you can obviously special summon that card back and get another search along with this card. And this card also protects your Pendulum Scales from destruction, so another added bonus there. And then just for a little more additional search for your pendulums, I run 2-star Pendulum Graph. Your opponent cannot target spellcaster type monsters you control with spell cards or effects. And if a face-up magician, a pendulum monster, leaves the monster or pendulum zone, you can add 1 magician pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Star Pendulum Graph once per turn. So just more search, which is why I like this. It gives you the cards and resources you need and also protects the other ones you have on the field. And I also run the 2 Duelist Alliance. This is just if there's a card in the Pendulum Zone, you add 1 Pendulum monster or Pendulum Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand. You can only activate 1 Duelist Alliance per turn. It searches Odd Eyes if you need it into your hand faster, or it can search out your Star Pendulum Graph or even your Pendulum Calls. So you have plenty of search options with Duelist Alliance in the deck. And I also run the 2 Dragon Shrine. It just sets up Destrudo or Dark Worm, whatever you need, and Foolish Burial if your search is short 1 for the monsters in your graveyard to summon out Zark. Just Foolish Burial. One of the magicians can basically be the answer you need to set up that play to do. And then also, to finish off the spells, I run 2 Pot of Desires. I just really like the draw consistency with this card. If you're short a couple cards in your hand, the biggest risk with the Zark deck is you obviously banish one of the cards in your deck you need for Zark. Most of the time, you want to just make sure you have your play set up beforehand and before activating this card. But if you didn't want to run Pot of Desires, I would suggest putting in the Gate Infinity, just so you have the matching set for the scales. For the 2 Gate Zeros we run, you can put in 2 Infinity and then just have those scales set up for your scale 12. If you ever want the option to Pendulum Summon Zark back onto the field as well. Player option right there, depending on how you wanted to build the deck. And then lastly, 1 Super Polymerization. I really do like this card, since plenty of dark monsters in the game right now, even ones on your own field, just so you have an option to summon out your Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, which is another one of the requirements for Zark if you don't have the purple poison options. Plus, this can take care of some of your opponent's cards and give you monsters, obviously, to use for your Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. And that's it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. Your main card in the deck is Supreme King Zark. It just is a big boss monster needing all the different monsters to summon it out. It must first be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If this card is special summoned, destroy all cards your opponent controls. It cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. And your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. And when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon 1 Supreme King Dragon monster from your deck or extra deck. And if this card is in the monster zone or destroyed by a card effect, you can place this card in the pendulum zone. So you have plenty of scary destruction power with Zark on the field to fear when this card comes out. If you have your arrows set up and Zark is also on the field after it enters the field through this way, and you can get out one of the other Supreme Kings to one of the free arrows or the extra monster zone, just an added bonus as well. But this is your boss monster to go to. You really only need the one. If you can get out once, I'd call that the victory right then and there. I tried plenty of times, just didn't have as much success to get out a second one with these plays. And I also run the 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, just when you can summon this card out, especially with the Super Polymerization target, definitely does come in handy, being the fact that it's a strong card all on its own, and just one of the needed cards for Zark. Also 1 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. This is for Absolute Dragon, which I do run in the extra deck as well, just as another option when you're going for your Link plays and you make this card out. And for the Link monsters, I run 1 Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, a very important card in the deck. It just sets up so many of your plays, especially, and gives you draw power. I also run 1 Psyframe Lord Omega, not Omega, Lambda. If you want to run Landfornicus, I only run Psyframe Lord Lambda for the the arrows for the Link monster. And 1 Borolo Dragon, just for another boss monster to run for the Links. Also keeping your arrows open, depending on if you want to summon other cards from the extra deck. And then for the synchros, I run 1 Supreme King Dragon Clearwing, along with the destruction effect, just being very difficult to attack into this monster, makes it very difficult for your opponent to summon over it. And the 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon, you can make this card easily with Destrudo, and just another requirement for Zark. Also 1 Borolode Savage Dragon and 1 Ignister, just for the Harmonizing Magician if you need some other good synchro plays. And then for the Exceed monsters, I run 1 Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon, just the last of the Dimension Dragons, along with his Supreme King counterpart, Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion. And then for a couple other Exceed plays, I run 1 Time Star Magician, just really good with all the Magician pendulums you run, 1 Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, and 1 Abyss Dweller as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. I've made a couple Zark decks now. I was very happy with the results of this one, so definitely do give it a shot if you're looking to build a fun deck that makes use of all the extra deck summoning mechanics. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.